I spent a long time thinking I understood what it meant to stand up for women and honor them because I was raised by a mother with enough strength to move mountains. And I spent years around women who knew exactly who they were and daughters who could out-talk me any day. So I thought I had the picture figured out, but life has a way of humbling you and showing you that your idea of truth might be nothing but a shadow. I remember a moment like it happened 5 minutes ago. I was at an event and someone mentioned Islam and the whole room froze like the air got thick, and one person asked me how a faith where women cover themselves could possibly claim to honor them, and I laughed, not because it was funny, but because I used to think the same thing. I had bought the same story that Muslim women were silent, hidden, controlled, but that was only the version the world kept repeating. Then life placed me in front of real Muslim women, women with power and softness at the same time, doctors, teachers, business owners, mothers, women with a peace in their eyes I had never seen in the entertainment world. And one sister looked at me and said, "We do not cover because men force us, we cover because God dignifies us." And that single line turned my whole understanding upside down. I grew up thinking freedom meant removing limits, but what if real freedom is knowing your worth so deeply that no one else gets to define it? The world says wear what you want, but the same world turns around and asks why you are not wearing enough. It sells empowerment with one hand and uses the other to turn women into advertisements. And that is not liberation, it is a trap. Wearing makeup. I spent my life in entertainment, so I saw how women get treated like objects. Change your hair, fix your face, lose some pounds, speak less, smile more, show more, and they call that empowerment, but the same voices talking about freedom are the ones pushing women into the same pattern, seeking validation from everybody except God. Then I opened the Quran, and I saw something totally different. Not control, not suppression, but dignity. The kind of dignity that tells women your value does not come from the world, it comes from God. And when I read that, I realized Islam does not hide women, it protects their worth, it lifts them up in ways the world does not even understand. The Quran does not tell men to silence women, it tells men to honor them. It does not say a woman is less, it calls her a sign of divine mercy. And as I read more about mothers, wives, daughters, in Islam I saw a reverence I had never encountered elsewhere. Islam does not make women disappear, it makes their value untouchable. People protect what is precious like gold and diamonds. You do not leave something valuable out in the open where anyone can mishandle it. You guard it not because it is weak, but because it is priceless, and that is the part so many misunderstand. Now, I am not saying every man gets it right, because men everywhere make mistakes, but the principle, the divine law, is something higher, something pure, and that is what moved me. Islam was teaching me to stop trying to make men and women identical and start respecting their differences. Modern feminism keeps saying women should be able to do anything men can do, but Islam says women can do what no man can do, and that is a truth I did not even know I was missing. When I studied how the Prophet Muhammad spoke about women, I could not believe how ahead of time it was. He said the best man is the one who treats his wife best, and this was more than 1,000 years before people even started using the phrase equal rights. I learned that a woman in Islam has her own money, her own property, her own identity, and no man, even her father, has the right to take what belongs to her. She chooses whom she marries, she keeps her own name, she can run a business, speak in court, and hold her own place in society, while the rest of the world was still treating women like shadows. That is not oppression, that is empowerment wrapped in divine responsibility. In Islam, protection is not confinement. It is duty. A man is commanded to provide, to care, to lead with gentleness, and if his wife works, it is her choice, but her comfort is his obligation. This world teaches women that needing protection is weakness, but when you shame protection, what you create is vulnerability. I once spoke to a young Muslim woman born in America, and she told me the hardest part of wearing hijab is not the cloth, but dealing with people who do not understand it. And I told her that is how faith works. People are comfortable with your belief until your belief shows on the outside. Her hijab was her shield, not from men, but from the noise telling her to be prettier, to fit in, to be someone she is not. And she told me, when I wear it, I remember who I am and who I answer to, and I felt that deep in my chest, because That is real freedom. When I first started studying, I had questions. Why rules? Why structure? Why modesty? And a scholar told me because God loves women enough to protect them from men and from the pain this world disguises as pleasure, and that shook me because everything this world sells to women is pain. Wrapped in glitter, sleep around to feel free. Chase beauty to feel bold. Give up family to feel powerful, but deep down, so many women feel empty, unseen. Islam said you are not meant to carry that. Islam says a woman is not a toy, she is a trust, and that line humbled me. The more I learned, the more I realized feminism has been trying to repair what men damaged, but Islam offered a solution long before men understood. The damage at all honor, her protect her, educate her, respect her, and when I learned that the first believer in Islam was a woman, Khadija, a woman of strength and wisdom, I felt something shift inside because the Prophet loved her so deeply he grieved her for years, and that is not oppression, that is devotion. The same world that criticizes Islam cannot even guarantee women's safety walking home at night. Islam had already built a system that held men accountable for centuries. I saw how Muslim men speak of their mothers with mercy in every prayer, and I read the saying where a man asked who deserves the most kindness, and the Prophet said your mother 3 times before he mentioned the father, and that blew my mind, because nowhere else had I seen motherhood raised that high. When I read the phrase, paradise lies at the feet of your mother, I just sat there quietly, because that is the most beautiful piece of truth I ever heard. Heaven right there, beneath the feet of the woman who raised you. That is direction. That is manhood built on humility. It changed how I saw my daughters. My job was not to make them valuable, but to make sure they never forget the value God already gave them. The world tries to sell women worth, but Islam reminds them they already have it. My wife once told me when I shared that Islam says the best man is the one best to his wife. She said, well, baby, sounds like you got work to do, and she was right. Because Islam is not a book to shame you, it is a mirror to show you who you should be. Islam protects women from men and men from themselves. It tells men you do not own her, you owe her, and that became one of the lines that stuck with me forever. A young brother once told me being a man today is hard because everyone expects leadership, but no one teaches it, and I told him Islam already taught it. Lead with mercy, lead with justice, lead like the Prophet who fixed his own clothes, cooked his own food, and served his family, and the boy cried because he had never known that example. This world shouts women empowerment, but profits from their insecurity. Every ad, every industry builds on their pain, and then the Quran says, do not grieve, God is with you. And that is not just a verse, it is comfort, it is protection. I saw that protection in Muslim women, especially when I saw them praying in Mecca. Stillness, no noise, no applause, just connection. And I thought, this is what humanity forgot, that sacred stillness, that unshakable identity. I used to think Islam was restriction, but it is redirection. It does not take away freedom, it gives freedom purpose. Islam teaches balanced partnership, not hierarchy. It teaches equality through responsibility, not competition. And after all I studied, I realized the world forgot something simple. Women do not need to be like men to be equal. They just need to be who God made them to be, and when men and women both honor their purpose, society becomes whole again. I do not know where God will take me next, but every day I learn something new from Islam, and every time I see a woman wearing her hijab with strength and grace, I no longer see oppression. I see a crown the world does not understand. That is when it hits you. Islam is not making women smaller, it is reminding men they are not greater, and that is what real respect looks like.